It's your girl, Dr. Malaika, with Myles Smith. I'm so happy to be able to share with you his pivot experience. As you know, we talk to folks who have intentional and unexpected changes in their life, but they still come out on the winning side. So Myles Smith, he is the Cincinnati Reds 2024 seventh round draft pick from University of California Irvine, which is where he played first in college. And we're just really excited to have him here today to talk about his pivot experience and some changes that have brought him to the winning side and doing exactly what it is that he would like to do in life. So, Myles, welcome to Pivot.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's
Thank
awesome
you for
being here.
I know you are busy, so we wanted to just grab a little bit of your time and just talk with you a little bit. And let's just start with, who is Myles Smith? One of the things I found out about Myles is that sports is not new. It's not new for your family. You have a brother who plays baseball, a sister who plays volleyball. Your father played professional baseball, right?
Yep, for a long time.
For a long time, which is exciting.
hmm
Like this is
Very.
generational blessing, right?
It
Passing down.
is absolutely.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love that. And I see that a lot with, kids in sports and parents in sports, how they can just take the skills and abilities and then let's pass that down and just really plant that seed. But also it seems like it's something that you enjoy. So let's talk to you, Myles, and let's hear about Myles Smith and baseball. How'd you get started?
Yeah. Well, it was like you talked about. My dad played for
Hmm.
a long time. So it's always been a part of the family, and it was the first sport that I ever got put in when I was 3 or 4 in the little T-ball league down the street from our house. And I think I won like the MVP of that little like month-long league. And after that, it just took off from there, and I never stopped playing, and I never stopped loving it. So that's how it all started.
That's how it all started. And so it's something that you love, which you can
hmm
always appreciate that. We know plenty of our young people out there who might be playing sports for different reasons, but when you play it because you enjoy it and you love it, then that makes the difference, right?
Absolutely. It makes all the difference in the world.
So, talk a little bit about your experience. When we see players who are in the major leagues, we're like, "Wow, look at this!" And we see them now. We see what the uniform, and we see them on the field. But talk a little bit about that pivot. Before you even got to this point, because it hasn't
hmm
always been easy. Correct?
Absolutely not. Definitely not. Yeah, so my first 2 years of college, or actually backtrack to high
Okay.
school.
Okay.
High school, it was a really good time for me in baseball.
Right.
Um, I was playing really well, and I was getting looked at by major league teams to get drafted out of high school.
Mm,
I ended up going to college thinking that, or with plans that I would perform really, really well in college, and then my draft stock would raise, and then in 3 years after my sophomore junior year, I would, I would get picked higher, make some more money.
right.
But that wasn't the case.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
my freshman year, I had some physical and some mental health issues that I had to overcome.
Okay.
Um, and it led to I didn't play much my freshman year, but that's okay. You're a freshman. Sometimes it's hard to get on the field
Right.
as a freshman and beat out those veteran players. So I didn't get much playing time then.
Mhm.
And then my sophomore year, I played. I earned my spot, but I just was not performing at all.
Mm.
Um, and that it became a time for me where I was, thinking to myself, man, like, professional baseball was always the goal, but
Okay.
during that time, it became like, dang, am I really gonna like be able to do this?
Right. So you come back from Alaska
hmm
and you know you played differently. I'm
Play
going to
differently,
mechanics
yes.
changed, right?
Some mechanics changed,
The
mindset
results. Mhm.
also. I also formed a relationship with Christ.
Okay.
I I formed that as well. Um,
Now, did
yeah,
that was that in Alaska, or was that when you got
it
back?
it was in Alaska. It was in Alaska. I and that was the story that I heard another player talk about, or
Uh-huh.
tell the story that the player told. It was about his relationship with God
Come
and how
on.
he came to be, and his path to finding him was like it was almost identical to what I went through my
Right.
first year of college.
Right.
And I was sitting there like, wow. And it was like I went there because it was before a game,
Okay.
and they were like, oh, some of the players are gonna read their testimony. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, I'll listen. And I sat and listened, and I was like, oh my gosh. And
Wow.
I came home, I told my parents about it. And ever since then, my parents are also Christian as well.
Yes.
Um,
Shout
but
out to
I
mom and
didn't really absolutely love them. But I grew up around it, but I never really took it in.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and now I've taken it in fully, and I feel like
Yes.
that's also been a big part of the success and the pivot. So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
mhm,
So you established this. It's funny because we've been talking about intimate relationship with God, right? That intimate relationship.
mhm,
It's not just your mom and dad's God, right? It's yours, right? You know him.
absolutely.
And
Mhm.
he sent you to Alaska and met you there.
Yep.
You know,
Exact. He did. He did.
he met you there, brought you back, and now,
Mhm.
it seems like things just it was like a domino.
It was. It really was. And
Wow.
yeah, yeah. I still think about it now. I'm like, wow, like it's crazy.
Wow. Wow. So how do you
Mhm.
feel, so talk a little bit about just the new being the draft pick, and how has that been for you, and have you found yourself continuing to draw closer to God even in that time, because there's so much that's happening around
Mhm.
you, a lot of voices, a lot of folks talking, a lot of
Yeah.
advice, a lot of, how do you balance all of that and still continue to keep um that revelation or that epiphany or that fire that you got from Alaska?
Mhm. Well, right now it's not as busy and a whole lot of this and a whole lot of that
Mhm.
as it might get in the future, but it's I'm
Okay.
still, doing things, and it has been busy. Like before I got here, things were all over the place,
Mhm.
meetings and workouts and stuff like that. So there was a lot of, time being consumed. But I make sure that, I always find like some sort of time, even if it's 30 seconds. I pray every day. I pray
Good.
before games. Um, I pray about 3 or 4 times before every game I play.
That's good.
Um, and I feel like as long as and there's always more that I could be doing to get
Yes,
closer to him, of course.
of course.
But with the, you know, what I do every day, I feel like as long as I'm devoting a little teeny bit of time to him every day, I'm doing what I can to continue that relationship and to build that relationship with him. So,
That's good. That's so good. What do you tell folks or younger athletes out there who are finding that this path to success, if you will, it's not a straight path, right?
mhm,
And what do you tell young athletes that you might talk to who say, "Well, all right, I admire what you're doing, Miles. How do I get there? What are some
mhm.
things that I need to do to get to this level?"
Um, the first thing I always tell people, and it actually started happening. Like people have been, or younger kids have been sliding into my Instagram DMs like, "Hey, Miles, big fan," and it's never really happened to me, and I always have to think about, what to say. But
Right.
my biggest thing is have fun, because these are, and if you love the sport, you love it, and these are times that you're never gonna get back.
Mm,
So so I think the main thing you need to do is have fun.
Yeah.
Because again, like I said before, it's a game. It's supposed to be fun. Um, and you just work hard as well.
Mhm.
Because I mean, if you're not going to get anywhere if you don't work hard. And I learned that the not so easy way.
Okay.
And the my first until I was maybe 15 or 16 years old,
Yeah.
maybe even 17 years old, I was playing baseball purely off of my God-given talent. I
Wow.
would I would
Wow.
hit maybe once a week maybe, but I wasn't really motivated to go and lift, to go work out.
Yeah.
My parents had to, they had to get on me a little bit and be like, "Yeah, like you want to like do this seriously, then you need to start taking it seriously and
Yes.
work harder. We shouldn't have to tell you to go for a run or go work out. You should
Yeah.
be getting up and wanting to do that on your own because
And that
we
was about
can't."
15 or 16?
I was 15, 16, 17 years old. It was, and
Okay.
still to this day, sometimes too, my parents are like, what are you going to do today? Like, you need to get up and go do something. Even though you did
Wow.
something yesterday, you need to do something.
Right.
So that's having fun and work hard. And yeah, I mean, there are so many things that go into it, but those are like the two main things that I preach. Just have fun and work your tail off
Right. 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 What
because
have been
it'll pay off. Go ahead.
some
Sorry.
No, no, you're fine. What have been some challenges just recently? Like what are things that you can find like, oh man, like this has been challenging for me.
Um, I feel like here it's challenging to not compare yourself to
Mm,
others.
okay.
Um, because there are 20 rounds in the in the draft every year.
Okay.
Um, and so you see guys that maybe got drafted before you and they do something really, really good. And you're like, I wish I could do that, or I wish, man, like he's playing really well. He's playing better than me. I wonder what the coaches are thinking of me, and
Right.
this and that.
Right.
You can't do it. You
Right.
can't do it because at the end of the day, you're not that person. You're your own person,
Right.
and you're there. Like
Right.
I've been telling myself because I've been struggling with that a little bit. I see someone do something like, but I got here,
Mhm.
and we're in the same place.
Right.
So I'm doing something right.
Right.
So that's been the main challenge for me, I think. But I found myself snapping out of that really quickly and getting back to that the positive thoughts of you got here too. You're in the same place as this person, and
Yes.
you're just as deserving. And even if you do something that or even if someone else does something a little bit better than you this day, then it doesn't really matter
Right.
because
Right.
you can go out tomorrow and do something better than that person the day after that.
Right.
So.
Well, that's a that's a critical piece, I think, especially in sports, is comparison, right?
Mhm.
Because social media, mixtapes, I have two sons.
Mhm.
One plays football, one plays basketball. Is really focused on basketball, but you see other athletes, your AAU, counterparts who are out there, or other folks that you might have played football with in high school and now you're in college.
Mhm.
You're seeing, people, and you really do, you can get caught up in the web of comparison.
Absolutely.
It has the ability to stifle growth, and
Mhm.
it takes you back to the mindset, what you think
Right.
about yourself. So that is interesting, and very, very real, the whole idea
It
of
is real. It's the thief of joy.
ah, yes, it is. So do you have a quote, something that you really continue to say in your mind to help you snap out of things? Or I know you said your parents will remind you sometimes to, hey,
Mhm.
moving, but is there a quote, is there a song, is there a thing that you really use to kind of motivate you and get you moving?
Yeah. So actually, I have a bunch of tattoos on my body,
Okay.
and I love tattoos. but I love, when they have meaning to them.
Right.
So I have two quotes that I sort of live by.
Okay.
Um, One of them is, "One who knows fear will never know success." And
Mm.
it was the first tattoo I ever got, and I came up with it when I was like 16 or 17 at the dinner
Really?
table one night. Yeah, and it's something that I like. It's something that I live by, just because you can't you can't do anything if you're scared.
One who
You
knows
just
fear will never know success.
hmm
That's good. That's good.
and then my other one, it's "Fall Forward." I don't know if you might have seen it. Denzel Washington, uh he was like a keynote speaker at, I think it was the University of Pennsylvania, their
Okay.
graduation a long time ago.
Okay.
Um and he said, in part of the speech, he was talking about, like, when you have something that you want to do in your life, and someone asks, "Oh, so if that doesn't work, what are you going to have to fall back on?"
Mm-hmm.
And his whole speech was like, "Why fall back when you can fall forward?"
Ah, that's good. That's
hmm
good.
So, and I watched it. There was a phase where I watched it like probably 3 times a week.
Right.
I got it tattooed, and funny story, I got it tattooed and I spelled it wrong.
Oh
Um, I know. So, um, it's on my arm. It's "Fall Forward," not
no. Okay.
"forward."
But
But
you
it's
know,
become, I know, and it's become this whole thing with my family, with my teammates, where, like, they all know it, they all love it. I'll be up to bat and they'll be like, "Hey, fall forward." So it's
yes,
it's become it's become a whole thing.
I love that. I love
Mhm.
that. I spoke on resilience one time, and that was one of the things I read an article about falling forward.
Mhm.
Resilient, get up and fall forward. That's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that. I love
It's
that.
great.
I love
Yeah,
that
super good quote.
because you never fall then.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
you might
Mhm.
you let's what's next? I mean, you're always
Right.
thinking, what's next then? I'm not gonna
Exactly.
and you don't stay down. And I think
Right.
it's something that a lot of times people struggle with. It's like, I need some time to think about this. And I'm more of a person like, okay, well, let's get moving. Like
Yeah,
what's
exactly.
I'll deal with my emotions as I'm moving forward, right?
Right.
Not
Mhm.
saying I won't cry, not saying I won't, stop, and think through this and feel sad, but I'm still moving. So
Right.
I love that. I love that. And so, I was doing a little homework and I saw one thing we would not know about Myles Smith is that you did some acting.
Yeah, I did. I was a little child actor. My mom is an actress.
Okay.
Um so when all of my siblings, when we were all young, she'd put us in commercials, and I got pretty good at it. And so I acted for up until from like birth, or when I was like a little baby. There are things that I've acted in that I don't even remember because I was so
Right.
young. So,
Right.
like, super young, all the way up until I was like 12 or 13, seventh grade. hmm And I stopped because I missed a baseball game because I had to go to a callback for a commercial.
Wow.
And I was like, "Mom, like, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want to miss baseball anymore."
Gee, what did your mom say? I'm
Oh,
curious.
she was fine with it. She still kind of throws, little things out there about me like getting back into it. But,
Yeah.
she always knew that this was the goal.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
she's living with the decision, all right.
I love it. Yes, you were in
Mhm.
House of Lies. You were in
Mhm.
Parenthood. Anything else that you were and
I did a lot of commercials, and when I tell people, they're like, "Oh my gosh, like, I don't believe you. Like, I'm gonna look it up." And I always show them there's one. It's the only commercial TV show that I can find online. And
okay.
it was a Kraft mac and cheese commercial when I was, like, probably 3 years old, 3 or 4 years
Really?
old.
Okay. It's
Mhm.
still out there.
It's still, yeah, it's on YouTube. Um, and I show people, Oh my gosh. I showed the trainer down
Uh-huh.
here at the complex. I showed our trainer the commercial and she was like, "Oh my god, there's no way." And there's a picture of me smiling and she put it next to my face and
It's
was like,
you.
"Smile, smile for me." It's yeah, it's so funny.
I love that. I love that. And you have do you have a pet? You like pets?
I
You have
have we have a little toy poodle. Her name's Pumpkin. She's like she's like probably 2 pounds. She's
Oh.
she's so adorable. I miss
Is
her
that
so
your baby?
much.
Is that your baby or is that
She's my baby. She's like the family dog.
okay. Okay.
Um, she takes to my mom more than she
Okay.
takes to me, but we
But
all
you
love her.
yeah.
She's the best. And she's like 11 or 12 and she still jumps around like a little puppy.
Oh,
I
I
know.
love
She's so
that.
cute. So
Nice.
cute.
Nice.
Mhm.
So, will you be able to get back home to connect with family?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the season is so there's spring training in February and March,
Okay.
and then April all the way until September or like late August, September
Mhm.
is when the season ends. So then
Yeah.
from September all the way up until next spring training, I have off.
Wow.
So I get to go home. My dad's coming down on Thursday with my
Mhm.
car,
Okay.
and then he's gonna fly back, and then on September 30th, when our camp is done, I'm gonna drive home to
Right.
California,
Okay.
and I'll spend I think that's what 4.5 months home, just
Okay.
hanging out, training and stuff back home. So I'll get a good amount of time off to hang out with everybody, which I'm so excited about. I miss my friends and family so much. So
And how proud is dad of you
oh,
following
so proud, so proud. I hope he doesn't get mad at me for saying this. He probably won't, but um I was excited. He was like super, super excited.
really?
And I came home one day. I can't remember. I think I just came home from my friend's house, and he was sitting in the living room. He always sits in the living room or in the
Mhm.
kitchen, like our little dining room table. And I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "Hey, so um, your draft party is going to be here." And I was like, "Draft party? What?" Like no idea. He's like, "Yeah, so we decided we're going to throw it here on the 15th." I was like, "Oh, well, okay, like that's fine." And he didn't tell me who was invited, or he told me a couple people that were invited, but like
But you didn't know the
he
whole
I didn't know the whole list, and he pulled some strings and got some people. He got my childhood like best friend at
really?
at the party. Yeah, and I hadn't seen him. We keep in touch every once in a while. We don't really talk very often, but we
Yes.
were inseparable. Like we could not be separated when we were like in elementary school. And he showed up, and I was like, "What?" Like it was crazy. So he was super excited. My whole family was super super excited too. It was great.
That's awesome. I just appreciate that you're here and just having this conversation with you. So many just nuggets just in this conversation.
Hmm.
Things that you've overcome and I love the experience that you've had and I think it's important for young people to know or just people in life period to know that sometimes life takes us through some zigzags, right, to get to the goal, right? So you said the goal
Hmm.
has always been the professional league,
Baseball,
right?
yeah.
Baseball. And so but before you got to this level, you had to go through some things. And
Hmm.
it's really important to stay with it, stay with the goal, don't be rattled, and
Hmm.
just make sure that you, like you said, kind of like that whole thing of being resilient, fall forward. I love that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I just feel like something like that just carries you through, like carries you through, and
Hmm.
has carried you through. And now you're winning. You are winning.
I'm winning, and I feel like once you realize and accept that it's not going to be a straight easy path,
Yeah.
and that there's going to be some bumps, the easier the path gets and the easier it is to, you know, when those bumps and those bruises come along the way, it's a lot easier to handle them and get through them.
Yes.
Once you are ready to accept that, you know, this isn't going to be easy and this isn't going to be handed to me.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, that's right there. It's not handed. And I think a lot of, I'll just say, today's generation, some work
Thinks that
really
yeah,
hard, some
but some yeah.
are looking for it to be handed over, or that it requires minimal work to
Hmm.
get to the level that you're talking about or that you're on. And
Right.
so sometimes it's way more than minimal. It takes a lot of sweat. um,
Blood, sweat, and tears.
and tears. You
Hmm.
might have to cry about something. You might have to, and here it is that you have found that God can be the anchor and that he can really see you through some tough times or that
Hmm.
tough time that you went through. And I think that is such a precious gift, the knowledge that I've got somebody bigger than me. Jesus is there and he's going to see me through. And that makes the difference.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It always does.
Yes. Yes. That's awesome. That's
Hmm.
awesome. So, as we kind of nearing the end, I wonder, what is the one thing? I know you've said a lot, but what is that one thing that you would say to someone right now who's like in a pivot experience? Like they're pivoting, they're not quite there yet. They feel like they haven't gotten to the winning side yet, but they're in the
Hmm.
middle of the pivot and just need to hear something that they could hold on to. What would you share?
Keep going. Keep going, and continue to put your head down and work.
Mm,
That would be my main thing, because there's when you're in that pivot,
yeah.
there you're gonna find some successes, um but that it's that like that the work's not done.
Right.
Like for me, it was middle of the season and I'm playing fantastic, front runner for player of the year, yada yada yada, all this. But I knew that, like, the season wasn't over. I still had, this amount of games left. I still had so much to prove.
Yeah.
So I kept my head down and I just kept working and kept doing what I do. Um, so that would be my big piece. Keep keep working and just don't don't stop until, and even when you do get there, don't stop.
Don't stop.
Don't stop.
Your parents are still telling you, even on this level, right? You're not in
Hmm.
high school, you're not in college,
Right.
right? You're at that level, right? Where
Hmm.
where athletes aspire to be. And
Yeah.
you're still getting the hey, you got to keep going. You got to keep
Keep going.
working.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure you receive that in the
Absolutely.
spirit it's given.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
absolutely receive it. And for a long time I didn't. My parents will tell you too. They used to tell me something that used to be, yeah, yeah. But now it's like, they were right. Like,
Hmm.
and I always knew they were right, but I wasn't receiving it.
Right.
And now I'm receiving it, and it's like, yeah, like, they're telling me this because they want what's best, and they know what's best.
They know.
Hmm. They know.
They know what's best. And here's the lovely thing, you will be able to plant that seed in others, right, who are coming
Hmm.
behind you. You will be able to share. I love one of my favorite scriptures is let your light so shine, right? Let your light so shine
Hmm.
before men so that they may see your good works and then glorify the Father in heaven. But I like that idea of we all have this light, right? And people are drawn to it, right? And so I'm
Hmm.
sure, like you said, there are folks who are in your DMs or talking to, hey, I'm a fan. I saw there was a post of you hitting like yesterday, maybe it was,
Hmm. Yeah.
and I think I saw where someone said, Myles Smith is that guy, right? It's like he, you know, people will be drawn to you for whatever reason, but we know that there's something special about Myles Smith that you're not just in this league just to be in this league, but there's a
Hmm.
work for you, there's a light to be, for you to shine. And you're going to be able to tell someone your story who's feeling
Yeah.
discouraged or feeling like the
Yeah.
path is just not working, like what's happening, you
Yeah.
know?
And I feel like that's something that, I want to do. And I love sharing my story
Yeah.
with people because I went through the ringer.
Mm,
Um, and I feel like people knowing that it gives them so much hope
yeah.
because I went through this and I went through that and I had to overcome this and look where I am.
Yes.
It's like I did it.
Yes. Yep.
So people know that I did it, and I want that to give them or anybody hope that they can do it too.
They can do
And
it.
like it's not impossible. It's never impossible.
That's right. So, Miles, where can we find you on social media? Are you on
Yeah.
Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. My username is underscore Myles Smith. Miles with a Y.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that's all I really am on social media. But yeah,
Okay.
that's me.
Underscore Miles Smith.
Hmm.
Well, thank you. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
taking time out of your busy schedule. Listen, shout out to Bishop Latera who uh, you
Shout
know,
out. Yep.
me to you, and we're just so excited to have you on the show. This is, let me just tell everybody out there watching, listening, this is one of many. Okay, Miles Smith is he's going to be out there. I'm just happy to be able to have an interview, have you on the show, because we know
Of
that there
course.
are big things that are in store for you. So
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to the Pivot family for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, listening, if you're on Apple Podcasts, we want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Pivot with Dr. Malika. Again, check out Myles Smith on underscore Myles Smith, right? Underscore
Yes, ma'am.
Myles Smith. Miles with a Y. Check him out, follow him. Let's just say prayers and send positive love his way. And so we're just so delighted for what is about to happen because we understand that when you pivot, sometimes it's unexpected or intentional, but we know that you come out on the winning side. So thank you so much
Absolutely.
for joining us. Thank you, Miles.
Thank
Hey,
you. Thank you so much for having me.
you're welcome. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Go be
You
great.
as
Be
well.
nothing less.